If you love the thrill of racing but hate the risks, then buckle up. Everything Simulated is here to merge adrenaline with absolute safety. In a world where technology meets adrenaline, Everything Simulated is revolutionizing driver training with state-of-the-art simulators. From truck training to the thrill of motorsports, our simulators offer the most realistic experiences across all automotive applications. Gone are the days of endless bookwork and basic drills. Now it's all about hands-on, pulse-pounding action that prepares you for the real deal. Whether you're maneuvering a heavy mining vehicle or racing a high-speed car, our simulators, equipped with cutting-edge technology from leaders like SimRigs and TrackRacer, bring every nuance of the drive to life. And talk about making a mark. We're not just building simulators, we're fostering talent. From grassroots motorsports to professional series like the Aussie Outlaw GT3, sponsored by us, Everything Simulated is fueling dreams and careers. Ready to feel the excitement of the racetrack under your fingertips? Connect with us, and let's build your next simulator adventure together. Remember, we support those who support us. Join the Everything Simulated family, and let's race towards the future.
Championship, supported by Player One Sim Gear, of course, here at the Formula Drivers League. As always, it's a week of Fuji, really. Our Super Formula Light series took place here just 2 days ago, and the weather was not great, I've got to say. It's a lot better here tonight. Dry weather conditions, thankfully, and for those who raced on Tuesday, that will be a big relief. It's myself, Ian Leary, and Jared Cole with you in the commentary box tonight, here for this round at Fuji, which will be the third last in our F4 Championship this season. Good to be back alongside you for this one, Jared. It's, as I say, the second time this week we have come to Fuji as an overall collective, I guess, in the Formula Drivers League. And I think it's a track that suits these cars rather well. It is certainly one where this track is going to feel very large compared to these rather small cars, especially when you compare them to the weeks we've had before at the likes of Okayama and Bathurst, and the week we're about to have at Winton, which is coming up next week for our final Australian round.
Always a pleasure to be back in the booth with you, Ewan, and you're absolutely right. This is one of those tracks that makes the F4s look a little bit like toys out there. I was taking a look at one of the practice sessions over the last couple of nights, and you could almost fit 5-6 wide quite comfortably up the straight here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that a couple of times tonight. Fuji is just absolutely built for Formula cars, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And so very pleased to be here for this round of the championship, which, as I say, is just nearing towards the end of the season now. Just 3 weeks to go, including the one that we are on right now. And this is how the championship looks. 60 points between Benjamin Roberts and Oisin Colangelo, with Kane Ryder in third place. Another one of the max boost entries, 151 points back for him. Then it's Thomas Hinds and Daniel Byrne over 200 back. Daniel Ackland only just went inside 300 ahead of Tom Donahue, Rushabh Banerjee, Danny Davison, and then Lexi Watson, who rounds out the top 10, and he is the silver class pole sitter at the moment. Well, not pole sitter, sorry, championship leader, I should say. 46 points is his current gap over Tristan McLaren. Then Todd Parks, who rounds out the top 3. David Besnard, who's not that far away either. And then Mitchell Halfway, who is a little bit further away in the standings here today. But it's still a little bit open in the silver class. And I guess it would be unfair to say that either of the classes are sewn up just yet, either gold or silver. I think Watson is a bit closer to his rivals, certainly, but Benjamin Roberts is not out of the water just yet, and his drop week is, yes, going to be very strong, if indeed he has a bad round this week or next week. But you can't take your drop week on the final round, and so he's got to keep a decent buffer over Colangelo and the rest before those final rounds, just to be absolutely sure about this championship this season.
That's always the challenge when drop rounds start to get calculated, particularly as you get into those all-important final rounds where dropping them is not an option. Ben Roberts, he's had such a strong season that he knows that a drop round is not going to really lift his lead much at all, but what he does have to watch for is, as Oisin Colangelo has more and more great rounds like we saw last week, then the round that does get dropped for Oisin is going to change, and it's going to be potentially a significant boost in her point standing. You can't really count it out until you get into those undroppable rounds. I'm sure there's a better term for them, but the undroppable rounds are absolutely where it all starts to come together. And certainly when we get to the final round, being the only one that these drivers can't drop, it's going to be a real spectacle for us, and we'll get a very clear look at the points right throughout that evening, I'm sure. But tonight we focus, of course, on Fuji, and what a setup we have tonight for the drivers, Ewan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's back to the 2-race format once again, as you can see there. So time qualifying in, right now actually, has just gotten underway. Then the sprint race of 15 minutes here before open qualifying for a second race of 30 minutes a little bit later on. The starting fuel set to all of these guys because it's a fixed setup series. And that means that they won't have to stop in the first race, but they will in the second. But they can do it at any time because there is no restriction on the amount of fuel that they can have in the car at any one time. Let's say the qualifying is just about underway at the moment. Oisin Colangelo currently holds the best time, 1:41.8. Benjamin Roberts, 42.0 in third place, with Rushabh Banerjee between them at the moment. So interesting that they're not quite together at the moment, those two championship rivals. rivals, but they've only been through once this time round so far, so plenty of time to go. About 5 minutes, obviously a little bit less time than that in reality, actually, but yeah, they've got a bit of time to go, but it's so far first blood to Colangelo. Just as I say that, they both go quicker, Roberts and Colangelo, but Roberts goes just 0.04 of a second quicker than Oisin Colangelo. That really says a lot about the season, really, and the way these two have been going.
It certainly does, and I think the opportunity here for Oisin tonight will really be that incredible straight that we have here at Fuji. It's one of the longest in the world, 1.5 kilometres. If Oisin can just stick with Ben through that last sector, that tight, technical, very, very twisty final sector that you have here at Fuji, and get into that slipstream, there's a real opportunity for her to make a real go at the win here. But I tell you what, it's all going to come down to the start, isn't it? Because the start line is halfway up that straight. If Ben gets a good run off the line from that pole position and gets through turn 1 far enough ahead that the field can't latch on, that could be it over at turn 1, lap 1 for tonight. We'll see how it plays out. But it is one of those tracks where you do have a couple of really good opportunities to make something of it. It's all about positioning, as always, with an F4 car.
Yeah, and then turn 1 here as well is a really difficult one on lap 1 because of the sharpness of the turn. But, you know, glad to say that earlier this week we saw plenty of clean runs through turn 1. It's really the rest of the circuit, to be honest, and the conditions as well for the rest of the races that really made things difficult, especially towards the end of the second race of the day. It was very, very wet. I mean, it's so wet that you sort of a shine on the road, almost looked like they were driving on a mirror. It was so shiny on the actual racing surface. But not expecting that here today, not expecting any rain at all. The only note really to add that's different to last week, by the way, is the fact that all the driver classes are now finalised, so everybody will be staying where they are. Anyway, let's have a look at the starting grid ready for race number 1, with Benjamin Roberts taking that pole by just 400 ahead of Colangelo, as I said. Richard Banerjee and Danny Davison then are on row 2, ahead of Hayden Millington, who's ahead of Kane Ryder. Then on row 3, it is, I think that's just his second appearance of the season, Millington, since he got a podium in the first sprint race of the season back at the Ben Motorsports Park. It's Alexi Watson who's taken the pole in silver, ahead of Daniel Bird, with Vaughan Ryder and Thomas Hinds rounding out then the top 10. Tom Donoghue and Dan Ackland are next, ahead of Tristan McLaren and James Antwis, who's 14th. Mitchell Halfway and Ben Ryder on the first all-silver row, with Top Parks, Tam Kakizinos, their last driver to set a time, and Scott Bartine did not set a time. He will start from the back if he starts from the race at all. Hopefully he will do, to make up the 19 drivers in the field. So back to the numbers that we saw at the start of this season, really. A few drivers drifting away towards the end of the year, but that is to be expected. We've got the top contenders here, though, and they're on the front row together once again.
Absolutely, and as always, a tight qualifying time set. The top 17, they're less than 1.2 seconds across most of the grid this evening, so they've definitely got the one lap pace. It's all going to come down to racecraft and indeed who can survive that turn 1 for the first time. I'm thankful for a nice wide track here at Fuji. The driver's going to have plenty of room to take evasive action as and when they need to. Hopefully not needing to too often, but who can say? It's always a bit of a toss-up, isn't it, when we come to the start of a race and everyone jockeys for position there into turn 1.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's about to get underway here from Fuji, as the Everything Simulated F4 Championship, supported by Player One Sim Gear, sets to get underway here from Japan for the penultimate time. As the lights now come on, it's Roberts on the right, Colangelo on the left, the two championship rivals ready to do battle again on the way down towards turn number 1. Green flag waves here from Fuji, and we're underway, and Roberts immediately goes on the defensive. In fact, it's Banerjee who's very tight up to the inside here, as Colangelo looks to just hold off at least for second place. Banerjee and Davison go side by side through turn number 1, as they all make it through cleanly. The two championship rivals get underway 1 and 2 very nicely, side by side for third though, as round the outside goes Banerjee. It's going to be the top 3 staying the same as they are. In fact, all of the top 4 stay exactly as they were in qualifying.
Yeah, it's a start I would have expected. Everyone just getting away fairly cleanly, and as I said, these cars look so small on such a wide track here at Fuji, and it does almost make them look like they're just crawling along. You could be forgiven for thinking that this is a lap under safety car or something along those lines, but they are absolutely flying already. It's just the tiny size of these cars, but here's where we start to hit the technical last sector, and this is where the drivers have to be super careful as to how they approach each of these corners. Everyone's going to be fighting for the quickest line through here, and going side by side is going to be a little less advisable than the rest of the track.
For those who raced on Tuesday, by the way, where we missed out that chicane down at turn 10, they will have, of course, had to do their homework on how to get through that, I would call it a rhythm-breaking chicane, if I was being harsh, but anyway, it was missed on Tuesday, so back again and a big overtaking chance down to turn 10, as it turns out. Here comes Colangelo. There's going to be side-by-side, I think, for a lot of this race, and Colangelo making that clear immediately here with the fastest lap of the race going to Roberts. It's going to be the lead going to Colangelo, far more important, you might say. Inside line and straight through. Benjamin Roberts has got a right race on his hands here at Fuji in the first race of the day anyway. Colangelo leads ahead of Roberts, and then Rishabh Banerjee, who's joined them as well. This could be a race of overtaking, then being re-overtaken at the front of the field.
Absolutely spot on. Colangelo's done a fantastic job to stick with Roberts right through lap number 1 there, and this is where she's got an opportunity to really make life difficult for Roberts. If she can keep him behind her F4 right through until we get back to the main straight, and bear in mind that's going to be a really, really difficult task here with so much track real estate for Ben to choose from, but if she can keep him behind, or at least stay in touch if he does get past, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to pull away down the straight. It's going to take a huge miracle for Roberts to get the sort of gap here that we've seen in previous races, and I am all about it, and I want to see this photo finish at the line at the end of 15 minutes, because I reckon that's what we're going to end up with.
Yeah, it looks like it at the moment, although early part of last week's race it looked like we might see the same. Obviously there were 2 pit stops in that race, but it looked like we might get the same, but no, it ended up being a pretty dominant victory in the end for Benjamin Roberts in last week's race at Bathurst by nearly 5 seconds in the end, so we'll see whether it's the same. This is Ben Ryder. Oh, he drops it on the exit, trying to get on the power too early out of turn 1.
It just shows how easily turn 1 can catch you out, though, doesn't it? It doesn't look like much, but that camber, that downhill that you enter there, it really upsets the car balance, and if you're not careful getting back on the power, indeed trail braking through it, then that's exactly what's going to happen as you go through and cold brake. Colangelo's either managed to hold Roberts back, or Roberts is playing the long game here. I'm almost expecting that what we're going to see here is Roberts just sit behind Colangelo right through till the final lap, just really put the pressure on, stay tucked in right behind that rear wing, and save the passing opportunity until, if not the last lap, second last lap at the absolute earliest, and make that run to the line. There's not a lot of point being out in front here when you can just take the toe and make life a little bit easier on yourself.
But yeah, I think there is going to be some risk attached with that as well, because Rishabh Banerjee is not very far behind, and neither is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th or 8th place in the race. So I think there is a bit of a risk attached with that, and so I'm not sure he would stay in second the whole way through, because I think he would be forced to do something about that in the course of the race. Ackland, meantime, has a look at Thomas Hinds on the way towards turn 10. Nothing doing there in this second group. Very much split apart at the moment, these 2 groups, but yeah, we'll see what Roberts decides to do on the way towards turn 1 this time, whether he's going to just stay as he is or not, because as well, I'm not sure he's quite worked out where to be going on to the final lap either yet. They've not tested out being first and second too often here, these 2.
No, it's a real change of pace for Roberts to not be leading the entire race, honestly, and I think Colangelo has an opportunity to make that really difficult. You can see Roberts now just reeling in as they get down to turn 1. That slipstream's going to carry him right through alongside, and he'll go back through. So maybe not the tactical play. Maybe the decision is there to just keep a little bit of distance, let Colangelo and Banerjee fight it out. You know, except being overtaken here and there. But it's something you've always got to think about with these long straights. Do you actually want to be leading the pack going into the straight, or is it actually better to be, one back and take advantage of the slipstream? It's a tough call.
Another thing to take into account, of course, as well, is the fact that if he'd have stayed behind for 10 minutes, it would have been very clear what he was doing, which is never the greatest idea when everybody can read your race like a book. And so maybe just mixing that up by leading a lap or two would be advisable, but then you're playing the risk of letting Colangelo dictate terms from second place. Gets very close on the way towards turn 10. And maybe that's a thing as well, going into this, final lap of the day, as Kane Ryder and Ed Millington go side by side through the chicane. That's going to take them straight out the back of the group. I'm not sure that was advisable, but the front four have gotten away as a result.
Those sausage curbs, that'll do it every time. They are absolutely brutal here at Fuji. You cannot afford to try and bounce a car over the top of one of them. They are even worse than they look, and that's saying something.
They look pretty bad.
They do, but they feel much worse, I assure you.
Yeah, they're a silly idea, but anyway, whatever happened to grass or whatever.
Right.
But anyway,
So much simpler.
it was much better. Colangelo, meantime, in the back of Roberts towards turn 1, and there you go. So there is the exact thing I'm talking about. Are you making your intentions too clear? And that may be, as Banerjee looks down the inside, maybe in towards turn number 1. Richard Banerjee will not get through, but Roberts will try and give him the slipstream. This is where it gets difficult for Colangelo, and this is where it gets difficult for the second place driver. You don't want to make your intentions too clear, otherwise the guys behind will start to try and overtake, and that is very nearly what happened to Colangelo there.
You're just going to have to play this one very, very carefully. Can't afford to burn the tyres up trying too much. It's not a long race. You're not going to run out of tyres in terms of distance, but you put a little bit too much heat into them at just a single point of this race, and that could be enough to let Banerjee through. And if that happens, it's going to be really tough to fight back. What Colangelo has to be careful of now, he's getting too far behind Roberts. She's going to have to really go late on the brakes to close up that 4/10 through this section, or she's going to really struggle when they come round onto that main straight again. I don't know if she's going to get there.
Oh, Millington's just been off in the background, by the way, as those guys have decided that they're not going to win, so they might as well fight for 5th place at the moment. But Millington drops down to 8th position, with Kane Ryder now in front and in the front of this group. So yeah, just less than half of this race to go, and let's see what happens this time round on the way towards turn 1. What does Banerjee do from 4/10 or so behind? What about Davison as well, who's in 4th place? He's very much in a position just to sit back and watch for the moment. Colangelo's not going to be ahead by the start-finish line, but is going to be close enough for a move down towards turn number 1 here, such as the length of this front straight, as car 18 gets no further action. That is Kane Ryder in 5th place. Here goes Colangelo, knowing that 2nd place might not be the best place to be going into these next few laps. Goes down the inside, goes straight through on Benjamin Roberts for the lead again.
Don't get Danny Davison out at the out at the end of that group either. Sitting in 4th, very, very easy for the drivers ahead to just overlook you as they swap positions. But if you just tack on for a little while and take your opportunities, there might be a shot there for Danny, as we see Ryder taking the regular line. Watson looking to go around the outsides through that long 100R right-hander. Nothing coming, but...
Oh, wow, where's Roberts done that? Into the turn 6 maybe, where Colangelo all of a sudden under pressure. So they're trying different parts of the racetrack to battle now, these two championship rivals, into the chicane now. Colangelo on the outside for the second part, gets a lot of room, but gets it on return. And Roberts is in trouble now. Banerjee's going to try and follow through. This is not the situation that Benjamin Roberts was hoping for. Up over the sausage curves on the outside. He's on the inside for the next corner. But if Banerjee can stay there, it'll be a problem. He can't stay there. And Roberts survives a bit of a scare there.
Colangelo, I don't know how intentional it was. I suspect it might have been, though. You saw her weaving side to side, a little bit of slipstream to Roberts and a little bit to Banerjee and a little bit back to Roberts, just really making life difficult for both of them because they couldn't move with her. And that's just trying to break a little bit of that toe without infracting on the rules as they apply down this main straight. You only get one move to break the toe down the straight. Going through those turns, you can move back and forth as much as you want, and it may not be much. It might only get you 100th of a second, but sometimes that's enough as Roberts goes up the inside of turn 1 again. Banerjee has a look. Colangelo leaves the door just open ajar ever so slightly. Thankfully, nothing in it, and Colangelo manages to hold on to Roberts for now.
I'm not surprised that these two are racing for the lead harder now, because second place is not the place to be. Further behind, there was almost a 3-wide moment in the background as Kane Ryder comes out the other side with 5th place here in this group. Another look down the inside from Millington and Watson, but he can't get through. This is Alexei Watson now stamping authority on the Silver Class Championship, because Tristan McLaren, as we just saw, no further action, but he's already been in pit lane today, as has Daniel Ackland. I wonder whether they've maybe made contact earlier on in the day for them to end up a long way down the field here. But anyway,
there are definitely a couple of equal flags out. I didn't see a crash that had caused it. We might go back in a moment though and take a look at Ben Ryder's second incident, because I reckon he might have actually been the one who's made the contact that's caused that damage.
Okay. It's going to be difficult for us in the next 3 minutes, to be honest. It's all action at the front of the field. 2 laps to go as well when they get there, so not long left. That's 3 minutes 20, which is the point at which it will be 3 laps to go. But it's 2 as the time ticks down. So here is the shot. These are so close again on the way towards turn number 1, and this could be a problem for Roberts. Colangelo's going to want to go through here immediately. Inside line probably on our right-hand side, on our left-hand side, but no. Wow, Colangelo stays behind, and Banerjee's going to go for it. It's going to be 3 wide. I'm not sure that was advisable for Colangelo, as Richard Banerjee goes to the right-hand side. He makes it 3 wide, and he makes the pass for the lead here. Roberts is going to go a bit deep, so maybe this is a bit of a masterclass in the end from Colangelo, who's going to get the slipstream, or not quite from Banerjee. Roberts just about shuts the door in the end, but we've got a new leader for the first time. Richard Banerjee leads the race.
I think Colangelo just hesitated a little too long in getting out from behind Roberts. Actually had to lift off so as not to push Roberts along there, and Banerjee absolutely pounced on that. It was only a split second to make the decision, but the timing from Richard Banerjee absolutely spot on.
Very good, but you know, is that going to mean Colangelo effectively going to do the same thing on the way towards turn 1 next time? This is the replay promised with Ben Ryder. Looks like he's not really around anybody here, so maybe he's going to arrive on the scene. Maybe he's going to spin around at this final sector.
Yeah, if it's not been there, then I'm at a bit of a loss as to how they've both managed to pick up meatballs. I'm going to blame the sausage curbs. I feel like that's the easiest way.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone gets a meatball from a sausage curb, to be honest with you.
Yeah, hit him hard enough and you can bend the suspension quite easily.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that wouldn't be too much of a mystery. But anyway, this is that run out the final corner again. Colangelo with a decent run, but not as good as Roberts, who excuse me, he's going to surely take the lead on the way towards turn number 1. But is Colangelo going to challenge as well? Banerjee already defending on the inside. Roberts not taking as much slipstream as he could have done there, but Colangelo's not got very much space on the inside, so it's going to have to be a 3-wide moment for the lead as they go on to the last lap here from Fuji. Roberts going to try and defend on the inside, but he's still stuck in the middle. Colangelo right round the outside. This is absolutely amazing between these 3. Great respect between the 3 of them, and they come out the corner still 3 wide. Davison just watches on behind and hopes, I guess, that they all take each other off towards turn 3. Colangelo on the inside line takes the lead away from Roberts and Banerjee, who's down to 3rd place.
Wow, they're not going to want to try that next week when we get to a slightly tighter circuit, are they? Winton's not going to allow 3 wide through turn 1, I can promise you that. Here we go, Colangelo now. Roberts has gotten through. Colangelo on the outside needs to get a move on to really own the apex of these turns, and just gets there, pushes Roberts as far wide as she can. It's going to be very, very tight through this section though. Banerjee has an opportunity to take advantage of the quickest line that he can find, and don't count Davison out just yet. Colangelo sneaks in front.
They're still side by side. Oh my word, through the chicane. Colangelo on the inside again, and Roberts very nearly hit by Banerjee there as they come into now the penultimate corner. Roberts again looks down the inside. He knows that the run to the line's not long enough. Colangelo still there though on the outside. Oh, there's contact as well. The championship rivals butting heads now in the penultimate or last round of the season. Outside for Roberts. Is he going to be pushed out here? It might be Banerjee or Davison, to be honest. They've just slowed each other down so much out. They might both lose this race. Here comes Richard Banerjee. Roberts gets his nose in front. Davidson's coming as well. Look at this, 4 wide nearly. Banerjee's coming through. Is he quick enough? Oh, it's close. Oh my word, 1,000ths of a second. Roberts just about held on, and Banerjee couldn't quite get there. His run out the final turn was not quite good enough. 1,000ths of a second, the gap at the line, and Roberts is able to win race 1.
That's exactly why we come to Fuji. Always going to be a very close run thing there as we finish up race number 1. And I think if that's any indication, race number 2 should bring us more of the same right throughout. It is such a tough track to get any kind of meaningful gap. And if you can't get it, that's what you're faced with at the line. You're fighting to the absolute death.
And as for Michelangelo, probably wondering how she didn't win that race, as will the others, I guess. Banerjee as well, who misses out by just 1,000th of a second. Let's have a look at the results are not there yet, because obviously Tristan McLaren has yet to to cross the line.
Not had a great run. I still cannot figure out for the life of me what's happened. I'm going to go back and take a look at the pass between Kataxinas and McLaren and see if that's anything to do with it. I mean, Kataxinas is struggling with that connection tonight, but that doesn't seem to be even remotely related to it. So I cannot for the life of me figure out where the meatballs have come into it.
That's one of the worst internet connections I've ever seen. But anyway,
it's definitely up there, isn't it?
That's. I mean, he's barely connected, is he? Anyway, Richard. Hello. Richard Banerjee is ahead of Roberts on the tower now. So who's won this race? Because on the tower, Benjamin Robertson won by 1,000. Richard Banerjee, it says here, has won by 0,000. So we're not, I'm not sure anyway who's actually won this race. A quarter of a tenth of a second behind for Colangelo. Davidson only a tenth behind as well. Daniel Byrne rounds out the top 5 at Kane Ryder and Thomas Hinds, with Alexi Watson extending a silver class championship lead as always, of course. Tom Donahue and Todd Parks round out the top 10 at Mitchell halfway. James Entwistle, Sam Kazinos, who somehow stayed connected in that race. Vaughan Ryder, Hayden Millington, who dropped down towards the end there of that race as well. Ben Ryder, Dan Ackland, Tristan McLaren, of those who finished the race. Scott Bartine didn't, and was 7 laps down in the end. So who has actually won this race? I guess we've got no idea. We'll try and figure that one out in the break, and as we come back for race number 2, you're watching, of course, the Everything Simulated F4 Championship, supported by Player One Sim Gear. And we'll just take a short break as we get ourselves into the second lobby and the second race of the day, the half-an-hour feature race, coming up in a moment.
If you love the thrill of racing but hate the risks, then buckle up. Everything Simulated is here to merge adrenaline with absolute safety. In a world where technology meets adrenaline, Everything Simulated is revolutionizing driver training with state-of-the-art simulators. From truck training to the thrill of motorsports, our simulators offer the most realistic experiences across all automotive applications. Gone are the days of endless bookwork and basic drills. Now it's all about hands-on, pulse-pounding action that prepares you for the real deal. Whether you're maneuvering a heavy mining vehicle or racing a high-speed car, our simulators, equipped with cutting-edge technology from leaders like SimRigs and TrackRacer, bring every nuance of the drive to life. And talk about making a mark. We're not just building simulators, we're fostering talent. From grassroots motorsports to professional series like the Aussie Outlaw GT3, sponsored by us, Everything Simulated is fueling dreams and careers. Ready to feel the excitement of the racetrack under your fingertips? Connect with us, and let's build your next simulator adventure together. Remember, we support those who support us. Join the Everything Simulated family, and let's race towards the future.
Well, welcome back to Fuji for the second race of the day here in the Everything Simulated F4 Championship, supported by Player One Sim Gear. We're about to head into qualifying in a moment for the second half-an-hour race of the day, or the second race, which is half an hour. Myself, Ian O'Leary, Jared Cole alongside me. Again, still not sure who won that race. Which is not something we normally say after any race, actually. But that race was so close between Banerjee and Roberts that we've been given two different pieces of information. So not entirely sure who's going to be given the race win there. And there's absolutely no chatter in the Discord at the moment. They're so focused on just getting into race 2, I guess. And so these drivers are going to know, but they're not bothered with chatting away between the races. So we're just going to have to wonder, I guess, for a little while longer before the night ends, really, and we'll see whether race 2 is something similar or whether it's going to be back to normality here in this second race.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. It was absolutely dead on the line. Our tower at that time picked it for Ben Roberts, but I believe the results that we get sent through from race control afterwards are the official and most accurate, and that doesn't stop at the thousandths. That does go a lot further down within iRacing, and so we are talking mere fractions of a second. I'm absolutely looking forward to jumping back into the replay of that and grabbing a screenshot of just how close that was. If you're not in the Discord, do give us a shout, and let's make sure you get in there so you can see that photo as well, because that was an absolute photo finish.
It certainly was, in every sense of the word. It might even be one of those photo finishes where you look at it and you still can't really decide who's won when you look at it, because it was so close. But there you go. The drivers just making their way out now for open qualifying, as I say. Scott Barshine has re-emerged, and there he is, the reigning Super Formula Lights champion, who unfortunately is probably going to lose his championship victory, or championship, obviously reigning championship title, whatever, in a couple of weeks' time. So he's not involved in the championship fight in that series, but neither is he here. But he's lined up with his teammates, and it's be much like Bathurst last week. The Everything Simulated guys will be all together, trying to work together as well. Synergy Sim Racing, Alexi Watson and Dan Ackland are together. And Todd Parks might join them. And Team Max Boost as well are going to be working together, as we saw last week, and as we have seen on a number of these circuits where it is helpful. Here they are, 4 in a line, and there's no other way of doing it really around this circuit. You've got to be in the draft of somebody else.
Absolutely spot on, and the trick will be making sure that you've got that really, really well coordinated at the entry to the straight, because if you have to faff about to get your draft line set up, then it's not going to be the way to go. I'm surprised actually at the moment, and I'm sure it's part of a longer effort here, but they do only have 10 minutes to play with. I'm actually surprised to see Colangelo second in the queue here. What I would have expected is Colangelo at the rear, and the 3 other Max Boost drivers really tucked in there, and so you'd almost have. I'm trying to think of the most apt description, but if you've ever watched velodrome cycling for team pursuits, and you'll see that front rider pull away, and the next 3 carry on, then the next rider pulls away, and then the next rider pulls away, and brings the final sprint rider home. I kind of almost expect Max Boost to do something pretty similar here. Have Colangelo at the back of the line at the start of the straight and really try and just pull her through as much pace as possible by utilising a few draft moves like that instead of just the one, by being tucked in behind one person. Look, maybe the straight is not long enough for that to matter. I'm willing to give it a shot. If anyone wants to jump in a session at some point, let's go play with that idea, because I reckon there's something in it, but I don't know that we're going to see that here tonight.
I think it's there goes coming out the way there. Who was at the front of the group there? I'm just trying to work it out. But anyway, Davison seems to have found some friends in the field, and they cross the line just in the background. Where has Roberts found himself here? He just goes over the line, and he's going to be in second place, but these times are already as quick as they managed at the very end of the lone qualifying session. That's before they're really up to speed and whatever, and now Dan Ackland already goes quicker than Pole in that first session of the day. So yeah, it's going to be a lot quicker. Oisin Colangelo though is going to be on her own on the run to the line this time round. I think will pull to the back at the end of this. Not sure though, as you kind of alluded to, what the research is on, whether you need to be behind just one driver heading into the straights, or whether you need a whole row of them, whether being at the back of 4 is better than being just behind somebody. But anyway, Colangelo goes to the top either way.
Yeah, look, certainly not lacking pace by the look of that. And, again, maybe it makes very little difference. We're still talking tenths of a gap between each of these drivers at the moment. But, if you're fighting over thousandths, then you'd want to take every advantage that you could, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'm just not sure if there's any, if there is any advantage. But again, we don't know the research. This is the downside of the of doing this. I mean, Synergy Sim Racing and Everything Simulated Racing have teamed up. It looks like here. You see the two Synergy cars at the back of the Everything Simulated train. Oh, and that's a bit wide. And these are the problems as well. When you've got 4 drivers in front of you, it's a real problem for traffic and whatever. Through the final sector especially. So yeah, there you go, there's a bit of a strange weave off the circuit, but yeah, surprising that these two teams who have brought teammates with them are actually pairing up here as well.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised to see the amount of distance being left between the teammates, and I mean that's potentially just a question of pace. Tom Donahoe out in front, perhaps just that much quicker that the rest of the team are struggling to stick with him here around the qualifying lap. But yeah, it's just all a bit strange. Cam Ryder though, that's a purple sector in the second there, purple in the third, will go to the top surely with that effort, and there you go, almost 0.3 faster than Colangelo as he tucks in behind Ocean down the straight, and I reckon that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and now Colangelo pulls wide. Just less than 4 minutes to go. So how are Max Boost now going to work this one with the last lap? Surely Colangelo is going to get the last lap of the session as the I'm going to say prioritised car, whatever that means in reality. But there's only 3 of them now. And one of the Max Boost drivers just tailed off a little bit. That's Ben Ryder, who's a little bit further down now. Vorm Ryder still hasn't got a time in, so he's clearly been getting off track or whatever. And this is what you don't want, really. Daniel Byrne is completely on his own here with 3 minutes to go, and it's too late, really, for him to get anywhere near anybody else. So, unfortunately, he's putting a lonely figure at the moment, and his qualifying time's going to suffer as a result.
Interesting to see Ben Roberts coming around here without a single green sector on the charts so far, and yeah, not a quick lap at all this time around. Looks like he'll be running this last one now as the pace lap. We've seen pull out from behind the draft of the car of James Antwis, our privateer entry, and this will be where Roberts really starts to push and looks to jump the rest of the field. But let's take a look and see what Kane Ryder might be able to deliver here. Already improved on one sector. Can we see an even faster top time here? Colangelo not improving her time at this point. Ryder crosses the line. It is going to be a little bit slower, I think. There you go. Almost a full second back. So they weren't pushing hard that lap. You'd have to expect this to be the hot lap, wouldn't you?
Well, it's going to have to be, but Colangelo's not at the front, not at the very back of the group. Vaughan Ryder was the one who got the priority there last time round, so that was pretty helpful for Vaughan Ryder. Now inside the top 10. It's Roberts really. Well, he's got a personal best here, but no draft here. It's difficult when you haven't got anyone in the server who's willing to just almost sacrifice themselves to give you the slipstream. That's the problem that.
He's absolutely got eyes than Daniel Byrne, who's actually just pulled out of the way there, being on a slow lap, which I reckon Ben Roberts is probably just gnashing teeth a little bit over, because he was probably looking forward to just a tiny bit of aero assistance if he could just latch onto the back of Byrne's car there. Roberts improving the first 2 sectors, no purple sectors at this point, but is it going to be enough to overtake Colangelo?
Well, it's needs to be enough to get pole here, I think, because Colangelo is going to improve again in the next lap time. But let's wait and see here as Benjamin Roberts makes his way over the line. Looks like it will be an improvement anyway, and yeah, it might be seconds. There you go. Benjamin Roberts moves up to second, so Colangelo does need to get this position to making a max boost lockout. And look at the pace here from Kane Rider as well, by the way. Up front, he has just made sure that Colangelo's got a slipstream all the way home. Richard Banerjee is improving all the way. I don't think he's actually got a lap time at all yet, but he's into the top 5 now. What about Colangelo? Big slipstream to the line here for Colangelo. It's a purple final sector. Is it enough for pole? It certainly is. Team max boost, lock out the front row here at Fuji with a brilliant bit of teamwork. Just 12 thousandths of a second between them. And in the background, only Tristan McLaren is going to be anywhere near toppling him. He's a silver class driver, but look at this. A purple first sector, personal best second, and a draft to the line. This could be massive for everything simulated racing. If Tristan McLaren can take an overall pole position, it'll be obscene, but he's on course for it at the moment. Here he comes towards the line, trying to time this bit of slipstream towards the top finish line itself. Over the line, it's not going to be pole, but it'll be 4th place, and a great lap time from him.
And 5th from Tom Donahoe right in front as well. So everything simulated, really establishing themselves at the front of the grid for race number 2. Ben Roberts, look, not going to get the improvement on this final lap. So it looks like we're going to have a max boost front row, and Roberts will be in a sea of team cars. This could be made very, very difficult for him off the line.
Yeah, I think this will be very, very difficult for him, not only off the line, but throughout the race, to be honest, with team players around. Max boost and everything simulated with the pair of drivers up to the front of the field. Richard Banerjee going purple in the middle sector has done very well in this qualifying session, considering he's got no draft. And we still don't know whether he's race 1 winner or not, but anyway, he is going to be the final driver over the line, I think, of those who really matter in this session, and those who could produce a good lap time. It will be a slight improvement. He move up to 5th place.
Splits the everything simulated drivers.
So he's in the mix there.
Danny Davison's on for a decent little jump here as well. So sitting 9th at the moment, couple of green sectors, so improving the PB. Only a half second to the pole. I can't imagine he's picked up that much without a purple sector, but maybe getting up to 6th or 7th here. Let's take a look as he comes to the line.
So this is going to be an improvement, and he'll be in the mix, I think, but that will be roughly where he was before.
A really slow final sector, unfortunately, and not enough to lift the game from there.
So that'll be that for a qualifying by the looks of it. Only Sam Kakazinoff still in the server, and at least he's not blinking quite as much this time. As we go back to look at him here, so he's that's a good thing for everybody.
Absolutely.
Especially on the run down towards turn 1. No lap time, by the way, from Scott Bartine again. So he will start from the back of the field and hopefully have a better race than what he had in race number 1. Because Kakazino still clearly hasn't finished. And he comes across the line now for no improvement at all, I don't think. He'll be at the back, but the teammates for Roberts going to be a big problem. He's got no teammates around, and he can't really afford Colangelo to beat him in this race, really, which is what of course you'll be aiming to do.
It'll be an interesting start line hustle here, with just the sheer volume of team cars that will be very close together, with a little dash of individuals in amongst it. Here's the grid if you want to run us through it, Ewan.
Yeah, the 2 Max Boost cars on the front, as I say, ahead of Roberts. Then Tristan McLaren, the silver class pole sitter. Richard Banerjee and Tom Donoghue then on row 3, with Hayden Millington and Dan Ackland on row 4. Danny Davison and Daniel Byrne then are rounding out the top 10, with Thomas Hinds and Alexi Watson on row 6. Form Rider and Todd Parks on row 7. James Antrius and Mitchell halfway next, ahead of the only silver class row in the field, Ben Ryder and Sam Kakazino for Scott Bartine, again not setting a lap time. So big anticipation here. 3 rounds to go, including the one we've got here, and you've got to say this is a round that Colangelo has to gain points on Roberts, especially after losing 11 in that first race.
Yeah, it's going to have a real impact, and she cannot afford to drop any further back overall. She's going to have to really push right from the start, and Kane Ryder is going to need to defend like he's never done before, and really get that car across in front of Roberts right off the line, and see if he can just hold Roberts up enough it doesn't have to be much, but enough for Colangelo to break the draft, and then for Ryder to, really just hold off enough that Roberts can't bridge the gap. It's a big ask, and it's a long race to be trying to get that done here at Fuji.
It is, of course, double the length of the previous race, and there will be a pit stop as well, which is what making me think that Roberts is still the favourite here. But you just never know, as the drivers have now all got themselves onto the grid, ready to go for race number 2 of the day. Let's see how they go in a moment as and when the lights come on. Let's say half an hour for this second race of the day. Well, iRacing doesn't want to start as early. Whatever. No, we'll start in a moment.
It's all about the anticipation, Ewan.
Oh, no, yeah, but a few pointless 10 seconds there. But anyway, the lights come on now, and the second race from Fuji now does get underway with a max boost lockout at the front row. Can Roberts get in between that straight away here and disrupt their plan? Side by side for the lead between Colangelo and Ryder at this stage. Doesn't matter who's leading, really. Just make sure you've got the lead, and Colangelo does have that. And make sure you've got second as well. Kane Ryder has that. And so it's a dream start for Team Max Boost out of turn 1.
That's exactly what they need to do. Keep Roberts in behind. Don't give him the opportunity to get in between the two of them, because that'll be enough for him to start to make a move on Colangelo. Now Ryder will need to defend hard all the way through this first lap to just try and keep Roberts back there. It's a big ask. I'm hoping that Kane Ryder's up to it, but this will be more challenging than trying to... We've got an incident in the background. Mitchell Hathaway caught up in that, I believe. But that looks like Thomas Hinds and Alexi Watson.
Yeah, and Daniel Byrne, I think, had to go wide to avoid. We didn't see an incident on lap 1 in the last race, but unfortunately we have here, and Hinds was definitely involved. He's got a meatball flag, and he's strewn off the back of the pack as well, of course. Oh, and a spin in the background as well. A hard spin anyway. Todd Park's involved. He's dropping down the field. And yeah, unfortunately, race 2, it looks like not quite as clean as race 1.
No, the driver's feeling just a little bit too settled, forgetting perhaps that they're out on cold tyres. It's always the challenge when you race back-to-back like this, is just remembering, and it's that mantra on the start line, right? Cold tyres, cold tyres, cold tyres. Just trying to remember not to push too hard until you get a bit of heat into them. It's so easy, though, to get caught up in that red mist of racing and really just want to push hard right from the start. Unfortunately, it's come undone for a few of them.
Yeah, well, this is the leaders. Roberts very close to Kane Ryder, who's surely going to be on the defensive here. Well, not quite. And Roberts just wait behind, and now I think has immediately taken on the strategy of fuel saving here. Oh, as Colangelo goes quite deep there, turn 1. Unless Banerjee gets involved, Roberts can fuel save the whole way through this first stint, and maybe that's his way to get ahead of these guys.
Yeah, we've got to start thinking about the longer term strategy here, right? Roberts can absolutely try and charge through Ryder and Colangelo, but the opportunity, it's got to be tempting to just sit in and save fuel, get an extra couple of laps out of that tank if you can. That will make a huge difference. And of course, we know if we get another incident like we've already seen, and it does bring on a safety car, it's only going to take a couple of laps before you're potentially looking at being able to do this without making a stop. And that would be huge if Roberts has saved enough in this early stage to actually avoid the stop altogether.
Well, absolutely. Very unlikely, I feel, but you just never know in this series, and the pit stop that we normally see in this feature race. So we can have safety cars as well, unlike in race 1 of a sprint round. We can have safety cars in the feature race, but no safety car required for that first incident of the day. I believe everybody was able to drive it back to pit lane actually on their own, under their own steam. This is what happened though further back. Thomas Hinds already a little bit wide here, and he's steaming down the inside, 3 wide, a little bit of contact, and then they all clatter into the back of each other.
Lucky to not actually end up locked together. You see that happen sometimes with iRacing. When you do go over the wheel of the other car, it's often enough that you can't actually get them unstuck. So I think all those drivers probably thanking their lucky stars that didn't happen on this occasion. And in the end, the only major damage really to Thomas Hinds from Team Jinx Shifters, but Watson and Ant was caught up in that. Alexi Watson, as the silver class leader, is not going to be super impressed with that. because it will mean a long way back. But, get the stop done now and then drive it to the end. It could be worse, that's for sure.
Well, absolutely. Tristan McLaren goes wide. I was about to say 9 drivers in this front group, and maybe the Max Boost drivers can make use of it and push Roberts down the field a little bit, but that's not going to work if the second half of the field gets strung off the back. Maybe if they manufacture a bit of a battle, then they can allow them to catch up. But I wonder what their tactics are going to be here, whether they can utilise some of those. But McLaren gets himself down the field, unfortunately, down to 7th, as Thomas Innes gets a 5-second penalty for that incident.
Yeah, hard to see any other way for that to turn out, really. Just no overlap there, and did not pull it up in time to avoid the contact. As we see now, Daniel Byrne, the Carlins Motorsport entry, does seem to have gotten away without too much concern in amongst all of that. Battling it out at the moment with Todd Parks, and the two of them just at the tail end of a fairly spaced out group. Very interesting line through that turn, that's for sure.
Well, the wrong line, I would say.
Yeah,
the top box.
there's many lines, but not that one.
As mid-time, the Max Boost drivers go side by side again, but look at the Roberts' fuel saving here. Calanzalo's got to be very, very careful that the same thing that happened to her last week, where Roberts' pit stops at Bathurst was so much shorter that she almost didn't know how he'd done it. Got to be very careful that history doesn't repeat itself there, because it's very clear to me that Roberts is fuel saving a lot right now.
Yeah, just sitting in behind Kane Ryder quite comfortably, not putting any moves on, not looking like even sticking the nose in the mirror, just sitting in behind, making the very, very most of this. But really, what option does Colangelo have at this point? To be able to do some fuel saving is going to mean letting Kane Ryder past, and then that puts you at absolute risk, because the minute that Colangelo is not the lead driver, Roberts will try and fuel save behind the lead driver by overtaking Colangelo. So it's a really tough spot to be in. I feel for the Max Boost drivers, because there is not really an effective strategy that I can think of right now that's going to end any other way than with Ben Roberts fuel saving, and potentially fuel saving while ahead of Colangelo.
Well, maybe because Kane Ryder's at the moment in second place, maybe manufacturing a battle between Ryder and Roberts would help Colangelo to actually break the slipstream, and I haven't really seen what happens when that happens for the leader yet, because the gaps have been below half a second for the lead almost all race, in race 1 and now in the first 7 minutes or so of this race as well. So that might be worth an idea here, but Ryder might not have much choice in a moment, because Roberts is very, very close behind, but again, not going to go for the move. This is the problem. It's not really going to be possible into turn 1 to do this, but they're all lifting off there and fuel saving. And again, I just wonder whether, because Roberts is riding that risk at the moment of Colangelo getting away, whether they can play on that a little bit, and Kane Ryder can almost take Roberts out the back a little bit of this group.
Yeah, and that's what Ryder needs to be thinking about now. It's really clear what Roberts is playing at. It's absolutely a fuel-saving move, going to extend and try to get an extra lap out of this starting tank. And so what I hope is going on the team radio right now is Colangelo and Ryder figuring out just how and where Ryder starts to really park it on the apex and slow that second, third, fourth position right down, and give Colangelo just 7, 8, 9 tenths coming onto the main straight would be ideal, because that's going to be what it's going to take to be able to break that slipstream and be able to pull away and really make Roberts come to the race instead of the race coming to him as it is at the moment.
And there's that second group as well, which they might be able to get into the fray. Davison leads the way, and then Tristan McLaren, who's still leading the silver class, is there as well. He might actually gain points on Alexi Watson if it stays as it is. And Watson's already been into the pit lane for his stop, so the field slightly, or his position rather, slightly untrue at the moment. But McLaren can really gain some points here, then it'll be very helpful for his charge this season.
What is very, very surprising to me, actually, just looking at Watson's stop, and obviously to repair the damage from that incident, but only 4.5, slightly over 4.5 seconds in the pit box tells me that Watson just did the fast repair and that was it, didn't actually take on any fuel. What on earth was the thinking there?
I think he would have taken on enough, to be honest. You don't need much, don't forget. It's only a half an hour
I
race.
Suppose, yeah.
This time round.
Yeah,
I think that would be fine. Especially considering they start with 13 litres. I don't know what that means you need for the rest of the day, but it can't be very much.
No, I think they need about 8 or 9 litres. So I suppose the 4.5, 5 seconds is probably, most of these cars take around about 2 litres a minute, 2 litres a second rather. 2 litres a minute, yeah, that'd be the long stop. No, 2 litres a second is about what you can expect to be taking on board, and. I suppose that might be just enough to get Watson home. We'll see. It's going to be running tight, but then that's what these guys do.
Well, absolutely. They'll want to run out of fuel just after the line.
I'll just go back and have a look at this incident for Vaughan Rider, because this is on lap 2. So one of the Max Boost entries getting caught up in it. And
no!
Really tricky. That's Katakzina's blinking in and out of existence. I have to wonder if Ryder actually realised where Sam was going to be into turn 1 there. Really unfortunate.
It didn't look like Katakzina's delivery actually, but the blinking gave it away.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, definitely a different delivery today to what we usually see on that Velocity Sim lap entry. Doesn't look half bad.
It looks even to me different to the race earlier, but maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. Certainly the blinking though would have not been helpful to Vaughan Rider there, who was unceremoniously served, and we did see Katakzinos get a 5-second penalty actually as a result of that. Kane Rider just pulled out the slipstream there briefly to defend again from Roberts, but still they're not doing anything to take him out the back or anything like that, and based on some predictions so far, you might even be able to get to lap 14 if you start to fuel save. So we might only be at the end of this lap only halfway through this first stint of the race, which is an unusually long first stint of the race, it looks like.
Yeah, even Colangelo is not pushing especially hard at the moment. A good few tenths off top pace. So she's very aware that Roberts is saving fuel here, and at the moment she's quite content to try and do a little bit of fuel saving while staying out in front. At some point, they've got to figure out a strategy here that breaks this group up, though. Colangelo needs to be able to put some distance on, and then that will allow Ryder to really force Roberts into the decision to try and chase Colangelo. Just get Roberts out from behind him. Ryder can potentially then slot in behind Roberts and do some fuel saving to try and catch up a little bit on it, although he's probably been doing enough as it is behind Colangelo. And then maybe we'll see a bit of a race on our hands with fuel saving not being the aim. But as it sits right now, there's just not enough down this main straight for Colangelo to break that slipstream. And as a result, every time the Max Boost cars need to go side by side just to hold Roberts there. Roberts is not even trying to get past at this stage though. Just enjoying the tow the whole way around. 12 minutes of very, very low fuel usage in that car.
Yeah, it's a gift really. Max Boost could have played this a little bit smarter so far, in my opinion, but maybe it will work out for them by the end of the day. Don't forget, all they've got to do really is come out of the pit lane within slipstreaming range of Roberts, and they'll be okay. And then the battle can commence, and see that then it will be settled on the racetrack, much like race 1 was. But I feel that they could be doing a little bit more right now to keep Roberts behind. There you go. More lifting, I should say, on the way towards turn 10. One advantage, I guess, is that this group is going to grow to 9 again. Davison's done a good job of bringing this gap back down again, and so maybe it will be one really large group all over again here.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite how that's going to play into the battle at the front. I don't know. Maybe the hope here for Max Boost is that with pit stops coming into play, that Roberts gets a little bit swamped in traffic and has to fight through. I don't know. We're approaching the halfway point of this race, and if they don't make a move soon, then nothing's going to change the amount of fuel that Roberts has managed to save. And you can see just how easy it is to just tow along for the moment, and look at that, just rolling the last 200-300 metres of the straight. No problem at all.
Yeah, it's just easy at the moment for Roberts. Unless Colangelo's doing something similar, then the max boost entries are going to be eaten alive by Roberts in the pit stop. The pit stop's going to be very, very short indeed if this continues for Benjamin Roberts. Don't forget, we're expecting lap 14 to be the lap now because of the fuel saving that's been going on. Colangelo's led every lap so far, which is not the same that can be said for race number one, but I think across the two races he's had the most laps of anybody now in today's races. But you'd think she's got to win this race and at least gain points on Benjamin Roberts, because a victory, no matter where Roberts finishes, will almost alleviate the points loss from race number one. But in reality, she does need to bring the gap down just a little bit to make sure that it's still even possible by the time they get to that undroppable championship finale at the end of the season.
You can see Colangelo absolutely not doing any fuel saving here. She's bouncing it off the limiter just about on every gear change. So there's not going to be a fuel-based win here for Colangelo. I think, look, at this point, she just needs to stick to this approach and push absolutely flat chat to try and make up whatever difference it is that Roberts is going to gain in the pit stop. It's inevitable.
It does seem that way. Although Roberts again really close to Kane Ryder, who's just gifting more slipstream here. Look at that, lifts off halfway down the straight. Thanks very much. And again, more time gained, but they've got to do something here to get over this. They go over the halfway mark. It's becoming clear that they don't really seem to have the answers for the moment, unless they are, as I say, unless they are fuel saving themselves as well, and everybody's just coasting around at very low speed. But I'd worry that if they're doing that, then they might actually be putting it into a realistic possibility that Roberts could actually save enough to not make the stop at all. Now, I don't actually think that's going to be really possible. 5 more laps to the inevitable pit stop at the end of this one, which means that's nearly 7 minutes away. There would be still 6 minutes of the race remaining after that, so he'd need another 4 laps on top of what would already be a fuel-stretched first stint and 14 laps. So I don't think that's going to be possible, but to be concerned about everything at the moment with the way that this opening part of the race has gone.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough one to call. You know, even as you can see, Roberts is right in behind Ryder. That's absolutely a calculated place to be, and it's not about putting pressure on at all. This is just max fuel save, max aero. You can see Roberts not interested at all in moving out from behind Ryder, and at this point, Ryder really needs to stop moving over and actually closing the gap on Colangelo. But Ryder needs to be trying to hold that gap back, and you can almost see it happening now. Actually, Ryder's finally started to try and actually hold Roberts up a little bit, and with that defensive line, coupled with Roberts, rolling it through that last couple 100 meters, that's really what Ryder needs to be thinking about. Every lap is just trying to increase the gap forward to Colangelo. Ryder's not going to be saving enough fuel here, I'm sure, to realistically be in to battle Roberts for the speed through the pit stop. I think they're caught between a couple of strategies that they haven't actually decided on, and it's going to be their undoing here tonight for Max Boost.
I think that is what Kane Ryder thinks he's doing on the front straight, but I think what he's actually doing is providing a sort of double slipstream, sort of from Colangelo on the left and Kane Ryder on the right, but providing a massive slipstream bubble effectively on the way down towards turn 1. Although Colangelo is a bit further in front, not very far in front, because of the way that this train works. So I'm not sure that this is quite having the intended effect at the moment. But again, to be honest, I'm looking forward to stopping wondering, to be honest, in 3 laps' time, and these guys actually pitting and finding out what's going to happen here. Because, to be honest, not much has happened since the early part of the race. It's all tactical from here to finish. Race 1 was very strong and very, very good. Normally, races without a pit stop are less exciting than ones with, but I'm afraid tonight it's been slightly the opposite.
Yeah, look, and this right here, as you said, Ryder's just creating too much overlap. What Ryder needs to be doing is ducking all the way to the inside and slowing Roberts up, so that Roberts really needs to commit to getting back across behind Colangelo which you can see him doing, but the gap is so small that he's not coming out of the slipstream at all. You want to open up, take advantage of the width of this front straight, and make Roberts really drive through some dirty and really, really thick air to really try and make him commit to getting on the accelerator down that straight. That's your biggest opportunity to have him burning fuel, and they're not pushing him to do it at all. I mean, I'm no tactical expert when it comes to any race car, much less the open wheelers, but I'm really trying to wrap my head around what the strategy is here. What are they planning on when it comes to these pit stops that is going to be the winning answer? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, Ewan.
He's got to do something here through this final sector. If I was him, what I would do is defend the inside line as if he's trying to come through into turn 10, because he's done it a little bit there. He's trying to make it less obvious, I guess. And this is where it starts to get a slight concern for Roberts. But the problem for Ryder is that he's got to do it either all in one go or not at all. And he's only done 8 attempts at the moment. All Roberts will do now is just draft straight past Ryder. He's got to defend now into the final corner, in my opinion, but he doesn't. And all Roberts is going to do now is get second, and he's going to interrupt the max boost 1-2, unless, of course, we see pit stops. And maybe that is the plan here. So, good idea. Max boost to or are they? Pelangelo will do. So Ryder is making... Oh, wow, and there's definitely some illegal pit entries back there. Millington and Donahue breaking the rules of his own series. He crosses the white line on the front straight, and that was definitely illegal. Oh, and there's contact. Roberts here's got a big lap ahead of him here, and Kane Ryder breaks late on the inside, too late. Has he ruined this now for Team Max Boost? No, he hasn't. He's got it pulled up in time. This is the danger now for Roberts. So they've been playing the long game. I think so far they've been a little bit tactically sleepy back Max Boost, but now they're taking the initiative with just less than 10 minutes to go. They've pitted their star driver, and now their main rival is being slowed down by one of their teammates.
This is where Kane Ryder needs to absolutely shine. He's not been put under real pressure by Roberts so far. Roberts has been very, very happy to sit in behind, and I really hope that Ryder isn't of the impression that Roberts has been pushing, because he's going to need to really defend these turns. You can see how much he's holding that inside line now, not opening the corners up at all. He is absolutely going to push Roberts very wide. He's holding the inside of all of these turns, wants to slow Roberts down as much as he possibly can. We've got just over 8 minutes remaining, and Ryder has a huge battle ahead.
And he might have just made the mistake that lost him the place there. Roberts round the outside through the right-hander, getting the inside now in time for the penultimate corner, coming at turn 15, and so he's through. But Ryder will continue to challenge him here, and he's going to look back down the inside again. This is a dream scenario now, and this is the danger for Roberts as well, as Banerjee now gets a real run. Look at this, the 3-1. Oh, they're going to come into the pit lane together, and they're going to crash surely if they come in like this. Banerjee and Ryder both side by side. Oh, Banerjee backs out of it. He had to there as they come into the chicane. That would have been an absolutely humongous crash. As Ryder blocks up, he needs to make sure he doesn't hit Roberts, because that would certainly be outside of the rules. But Roberts here will be ruining the times where he didn't make the pass for second on purpose because of those couple of laps there.
Yeah, that pit entry absolutely compromised for Roberts. And here comes Colangelo down the main straight. Is this going to be enough? How quickly can Roberts get into the bay and out? Not even into his pit box yet. Gets in now. This is going to have to be a very, very quick stop. We're looking for 4 seconds, 4.22, and he's out of the box. Have a look in that pit lane, though. Where is Roberts, and just how close will this be as Colangelo flies up the straight? There's Roberts now. They're going to be side by side at turn 1, but Colangelo gets through and has enough of a gap there that she should be able to hold Roberts off. She's going to have to push hard, though, to make sure he doesn't slot into that slipstream, but this may just have worked out in the end for Team Max Boost. Does Colangelo have the pace to maintain this gap to the straight? Is it going to be enough for Roberts to stay out of the slipstream? He's already starting to close it down within 6/10 now. This is where the race is going to come alive.
I think it's in the slipstream again. I think our two championship rivals will do battle again here, as Millington and Davison are battling to be first in the chase. Millington on the inside. You'd think these two would organise themselves and get close to the leaders, but no, they are battling away, and Davison gets back alongside again out of turn 6. Banerjee not too far behind after his pit stop a couple of moments ago. Kane Ryder, by the way, sped into the pit lane, it looks like, and so he dropped a long way down. So Colangelo on her own, as she was always going to be, though. at the end of all that. So it'll be the battle for the lead, battle for third as well. Separate battles as well in the final 6 minutes of the race. Four more laps to go.
I don't know what Colangelo's going to do here. Roberts has absolutely got a number on pace, right back on the tail, and he can quite happily just sit in behind now for as long as he likes. Whether he'll do that or not is anyone's guess, but he's certainly not looking like making a move at this point. So come down the main straight. This is the view over the shoulder for Colangelo. Keep your eye on Roberts. What's the move here? Right up behind Colangelo. He's not looking to get to the inside. This is his play now. He's just going to ride it out in behind Colangelo's Max Boost car and wait for the moment to make the pass. All it's going to take is calculating for the white flag. The minute he sees that white flag, you'll see him make the move, make that pass, and from there he'll control it all the way to the end.
And I wonder what he will have learnt as well from that first race, where he, of course, either very nearly missed out or very just about got the race win ahead of Banerjee. We still don't know, but because of the different graphics we saw. But I wonder what they will have both learned from that. To be honest, if I was Colangelo, knowing that Roberts is staying behind like that, I would be doing my best to get these 6 involved, because there's no point in, I guess, finishing first if Roberts finishes second almost. It'll be pretty much offset the day and the gap will still be as big as before. What you want is Roberts dropping down to 8th place. That would be much better, but either way, that doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. There comes down the inside Banerjee, is that, or Millington on the Davison. It's Millington into turn 10, and he's not quite going to manage that. This is a big group now battling away, and they have resigned themselves to 3rd place or worse.
Still plenty to fight for though, and plenty of names in there. Donohoe and McLaren will both be in this as well. Banerjee is just going to wait this out because Davison and Millington cannot quite decide how they're going to approach this, and they're going to have to be very careful it doesn't end in tears. It's been far too close wheel to wheel through that tight and technical twisty section here at Fuji, and a real risk of them coming together. Banerjee's just got to stay clean at this point and has a very real shot at picking up a podium spot. But this group, only a couple laps ago, were only 2 seconds off the back of Roberts and Colangelo. Roberts makes the move now. Roberts has made the move up the inside.
Yeah, he's gone and through into the lead, so no surprise there. Benjamin Roberts is free. I'm kind of surprised he didn't do it last lap actually, but anyway, 3 wide nearly in towards turn 1. This is the kind of battling we've been waiting for in this race. Millington now gets to 3rd ahead of Banerjee. Donohoe trying to get involved. He's alongside Davison. He's trying to just about get alongside Banerjee as well, but not quite. Outside line ready for turn 3. Banerjee will get through there, and Davison can't afford to get stuck on the outside here, and he just shuts the door in front of Donohoe for the top 5.
Banerjee desperately needs to get onto the tail of Millington. He's given him far too much space here. Needs to close that gap down very, very quickly if he wants to have a shot at staying on the podium. Meanwhile, out in front, Colangelo glued to the rear bar of Roberts' F4 car. This is exactly where Ocean needs to be through this section. It needs to stay there. I desperately want to see Ocean just not go for the move. Wait for the white flag and then make the pass at the end of the straight on the start of that final lap. That's where it's going to happen for it.
And again, what will they both have learned from that previous race, where they went side by side between the two of them through this final sector? What they may have learned is that, you know, and they knew this before the end of the race, the run to the line itself is not long enough if you start behind. I mean, look at this here. Colangelo was very close there, going out the final corner, but look at the gap. There it is. Where's the line? There it is. 1/10 of a second, just less than. So Colangelo close, but, you know, if that's the run to the line at the finish of the race in 2 laps' time, then it's not going to be good enough.
No, it's not. Roberts is trying to force Colangelo past there. You could see that, just trying to move right over and show that gap to Colangelo. She's not taking the bait, which is a really, really smart decision. In the background, this continues. Davis and Banerjee switching positions. It's really hard for these drivers to get a sense of where they are in this pack if they do break out of that racing line. And Banerjee has now lost 1 spot and about to lose another. Here comes Donohoe. And just like that, Banerjee drops back to 5th.
Well, he's
takes it back immediately.
Yeah, he's going to take it back. So It's pretty much as you were in this second group now, going on to the last lap of the race, but it's going to be carnage on the last lap, I've got to say. And Tristan McLaren at the back trying to stay out of trouble, really, with this one. And that driver, by the way, just off the back of the group, is not on the lead lap here, and is just riding around behind these guys. So
Thomas
we'll see where...
shifters entry.
Yeah, so just minding his own business for the moment. Anyway, 1 minute to go, and we do just about have enough time to squeeze one more lap in. 17 laps this race will be, and it will be Roberts versus Colangelo for the win. If Colangelo wins, then the difference between the two is basically offset, and the gap will remain about 60 points between the two heading into the final 2 rounds of the season. If Roberts wins, his gap will be over 80 points in the championship, and it will be a big, big lead that he has. Colangelo decides that now is the moment. Not quite close enough over the start finish line. You can't leave it for the run to the line. You've got to do it now, and Colangelo does do it now on the inside in towards turn 1.
Going to have to absolutely nail every turn from here, because the slightest error and Robert will be all over her. He's right on the back of her car. She's going to have to come up with something pretty special to hold Roberts up for an entire lap of Fuji. This is going to be an absolute battle to the end. We're going to try and catch this as well as what's going on behind them, because Millington, Davison, Banerjee, Donahoe, Ackland and McLaren all right in it, and really any one of them could come home in third. But this is where the action is right now. Colangelo's made the move at the start of the final lap. Roberts is going to have to pull something out of the hat, but we know he's got plenty of tricks up that sleeve.
And he's got a very good run towards turn 10 here. Colangelo's going to be forced to defend, but no. Roberts goes to the inside instead. Colangelo will brake very, very late here. And if she can be clear by the exit, unlike last time, then it'll be okay. But it's going to be aggressive on the outside from Roberts, who gets through again. And he's clear again in time for the final sector. Is that a race-winning, sealing move here from Benjamin Roberts? Colangelo's still very close, and she's going to give it a very good go to take this race win away. But Roberts is driving well as always here, through into the final corner now. He's got to get a good run. Colangelo's run, though, has got to be incredible, and it is a good run here. It's very close. Wow, this could be a steal at the end here from Osi Colangelo. Is he going to just take this race win away right at the very end and win for the first time since Phillip Island? The race coming up. It's at the line very shortly. Here it is. Oh, it's close again. Just thousandths of a second again. But Benjamin Roberts wins again. 5 thousandths of a second. Colangelo misses out by the barest of margins all over again. It's a familiar feeling for Colangelo, and it's a winning feeling for Roberts, who extends his championship lead to over 80 points by the end of the day.
A phenomenal drive, picked the timing to perfection. I have to wonder how many times Roberts was just watching Colangelo through those turns to pick exactly which one she gave the most room on, because that was absolutely a planned move, and he's had the better part of half an hour putting it together. I think Roberts had that plan from probably about the halfway point of this race. Knew exactly which turn was going to present the opportunity and made it count. Colangelo just couldn't quite recover, and despite the aero assistance towards the end, that 5,000th just too much in the end to overcome.
Oh, gave it a very, very good go. Got closer than that, actually, thought she ever would, actually, on that run to the line, leaving it so late. But there you go. 2 thousandths of a second it shows the end. Why are those two different? I don't know.
The results in the timing tower actually do stop just a little ahead of where the official results come through. So again, a photo finish there, not quite as close as we saw in race number 1, but absolutely nothing in it, and we'll make for some very, very good photos.
So maybe Banerjee did win race 1 at the end. I don't know. But anyway, as you can see, those two finished 1 and 2 as always. Hayden Millington then won the race for third, ahead of Richard Banerjee, Danny Davison, Tom Donoghue and Tristan McLaren and Dan Ackland in that second group. McLaren taking the silver class victory, of course. Scott Bartine got up to ninth ahead of Dan Byrne, with James Antrist, Vaughan Ryder next. Mitra Hathaway and Alexia Watson got on the podium in the silvers, but it's a good gain for McLaren on Watson. Sam Katsinos, Todd Parks, Kane Ryder, Ben Ryder and Thomas Hinds rounded out the field here at Fuji tonight. Let's have a chat to Hayden Millington, who's already popped himself in the waiting room, ready for a chat after finishing race 2 in third place. Hayden, welcome in and congratulations on your second podium of the season and second appearance of the season as well since the Ben Motorsports Park. How was that big group to be a part of there? There was 8 of you or something like that for quite a while towards the end there. How did you get yourself to the front of that group for the very end?
Early on in the race, I was just trying to sit back and try and save some fuel because I thought I was pretty close, hoping to get one more like the leaders did, but in the end that didn't happen. But that group at the end was nerve-wracking to be in. I didn't realise it was 8. I thought it was only 3 of us at the start. But just tried to keep defending down the inside and make sure I could make the car as wide as possible and didn't let Davison or Richard down the inside, and that seemed to work.
I think maybe I was overselling it. I think by the end it was 6, so maybe I was over-egging slightly. But either way, how has it been back to be in the series again? I can imagine that this round has been very, very different to the Penn Motorsports part, which you took part in earlier this season.
It's been good to be back. I have been a bit too busy to be able to race the last few rounds, but yeah, it was really nice to be back. This track definitely a lot different to the Bend. The Bend you could kind of get away without a slipstream, but here it's kind of do or die with a slipstream. So I was happy that I could kind of stay in one for the whole race and then somehow managed to defend the big slipstream down the front straight. I'm not really sure how that happened, but it was a good battle to be in. Lots of fun.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on coming out with the podium, Hayden, and thanks for chatting to us at the end of the day as well.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Hayden Millington there, 3rd place in race number 2 tonight. We'll work our way up the wrong way up the order this time, why not, in the podium, and chat to Oisin Colangelo next up, who finished in 2nd place in race 2. Oisin, welcome in, and congratulations on another double podium tonight, although how are you feeling at the end of that one? Do you feel as if, it's 2 near misses tonight, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I missed out on the first one by 200ths and the last one by 2000ths. So I felt like I tried everything really, but yeah, just difficult getting that run to the line.
Yeah, that of course crucial run to the line in the end. We've got 2 more rounds to go, Winton and Suzuka, and of course you've been 2nd place in the championship for pretty much the whole season, to be honest. How are you viewing this championship fight now with a growing gap in front of you and a very big gap behind you now?
Yeah, as long as we keep it this way, I don't think I'm gonna catch Ben, or yeah, I think I've got a pretty good gap behind, so I think it's just gonna stay like this, but it's still good to battle with him. This is really the only round I've gotten to have a good battle, and it was nice not to lose quite a bit of time in the pits.
Absolutely. We'll see how it goes, of course, next week at Winton, which I'm sure will be very, very different. Oisin, thanks for chatting to us at the end, and congratulations on another double podium tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That is Oisin Colangelo in 2nd place in race 2. Just in behind, Benjamin Roberts, who definitely takes the race 2 victory. Good evening, Ben, and welcome into the booth. First of all, I want to chat about race 1 a little bit, actually, because we don't actually know, compared to the on the tower on the left-hand side, said that you'd won the race, and then when we pulled the results up by the end, it said that Richard had won the race. So, what was? First of all, give us the story of the final lap there, and that run to the line in race 1.
Yeah, that first race was absolutely crazy. I'm surprised it was so clean, to be honest, because 3 wide NF4s, especially having done all the officials and stuff, that usually doesn't work. Usually ends pretty poorly. Yeah, tried to stick it around the outside, thought I would be golden, but yeah, Richard just managed to nab me right at the very, very end there.
Yeah, we didn't know. It was so close. We didn't know who had won the race, but you managed to take race 2. What did you take forward from that first race into the second one in a 1v1 battle, which I understand is different, obviously, with Colangelo, but nevertheless, what did you take forward into that second battle, which was pretty similar in the end, despite the longer race?
Yeah, I think the big thing, sort of race 1, was just sort of learning sort of where to make overtakes stick and sort of how far in front I have to be for the finish line. yeah, that second race, sorry, was mostly, well, they're just fuel saving at the start, heaps of fuel saving. Because Kane was going defensive in the turn one every lap, I was like lifting, coasting, shutting the car off like 300 metres before turn one every lap. So I was saving so much fuel. So much fuel. I even had like a lap of fuel left at the end because I just wasn't expecting it. But yeah, I mean, props to Ocean there for a great race and great battle at the end.
Well, absolutely. Congrats on the win in race 2, though, Ben. And again, thanks for chatting to us at the end of the race.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Benjamin Roberts there, the race winner in race number 2 here tonight. Slightly feel bad for Risha Banerjee, to be honest, because we didn't call his race win with definitively, but, what can we do? It was too close to call. Silver class victory was taken by Tristan McLaren in race number 2, and we chat to him now as well. Tristan, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and congratulations on a silver class victory in race number 2 tonight. Just tell us about that second race, because you were involved in that biggest group in the race towards the end of the second race there.
Yeah, it was chaos. It was all about just staying in the tow every single lap. No point making any moves. Tom and I worked lap on lap just to make sure we were following each other, not getting in each other's way, and just keeping the guys ahead. The tow's so important.
And what's your view on this championship now? Because going into today, you were 46 points behind. You will have gained some of those back again over Watson, who did beat you in the first race, but with this big gain in the second, how are you viewing these final 2 rounds in regards to that?
Who knows? It's, I've been struggling with this car compared against Super Formula Light. It's clear that other guys have had it on me, and I'm finally, hopefully, getting a grip of it, although I think that I'm being flattered a little bit by having a good quali lap and all the guys behind being scattered early on. Alexi's done a really good season, and props to him. Who knows? The final round we can't drop, so it could be a championship in that round, but I'm just going to race every single one, do my best, see what happens. That's all you can do.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you again next week, Tristan. But for now, congrats on the second race class win, and thanks again for chatting to us at the end.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks very much. Tristan McLaren there, the race winner in the silver class for race 2 here tonight. Well, that's just about it from us here from Fuji. This is how it should be looking at the end of the day, with not over 80 points anymore, but 75 for Benjamin Roberts, roughly. Of course, this is all provisional, pending any post-race business. Kane Ryder now well over 200 points back, and well over 150 back from Ocean Colangelo, so looking good there. But Roberts still very much in control of this championship, and I think he'll be somewhat, well, maybe secretly or not secretly, hoping that he can wrap this up at Winton in 1 week's time before the undroppable final round.
Yeah, it's looking more and more unlikely, as Colangelo said there to us a little earlier. She's feeling pretty resigned, I think, to that second spot, and we'll certainly see what it looks like at the start of next round when we do take into account the drop rounds being recalculated. So we'll have a look at that before next round for everybody. One to keep an eye on now is really going to be the battle for that silver championship. Watson and McLaren nowhere near as far separated as they were prior to this race, and the results for Alexi Watson tonight, you'd have to think will need to be the drop round, because it's certainly the lowest points performance I think I can recall for Watson this season. So we will get a good view of that before next round. This will of course let us get a feel for where the championship is going to end up. But of course, one more round that the drivers can drop. So anyone's guess, really.
Yeah, I think the fact that his drop round coming into this is a feature race, which is only one race in the day, means that these rounds are quite hard to drop. So he might have to count this anyway. which would not be great news for Watson, but I think he might have to count it anyway. We'll wait and see though. 36 points, 38 would be the gap if it stays as it is, which it may well do going into the final 2 rounds, and that is an enticing prospect in silver, certainly. But anyway, that's just about it from us here tonight. We'll be back again in 1 week's time from Winton in 7 days' time. It's another sprint round with 15-minute sprint race at the beginning and a 30-minute feature later on. So I hope that you can join us for that. Then for now, I've been Ian O'Leary alongside Jared Cole. Until we see you again in 1 week's time for the next round of the Everything Simulated F4 Championship, supported by Player One Sim Gear, it is goodbye for now.